In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my current info diet as of May 2025. All of these topics here are things I've either been stuck on before or I forecast that I will be, so I'm learning about them now. Everything from personal operating systems, sales team, ops, back-end economics and cash flow, and so much more. So we're going to break them down and go into the topics that I'm learning about. Last year, we did 30 million in our info coaching business. We've now done 72 million in total cash collected in this business, and I'm not selling anything. Everything on the channel is to share what did work, what did not work, and what we are actively doing to scale to 100 million a year, all with the goal of finding top talent, opportunities, and networking with cool people doing the same. So let's get into it. I was initially going to make this and share like the actual channels and stuff. I think I'll make a separate one for that, but we're going to go through the topics and like why I'm currently studying these. I'm a big believer in like the one thing. So I'll go through what like the one thing is right now, but I have my pulse on all these. So podcasts, books that are coming, like chat GPT conversations at 5 a.m. Like all of them are around these, and I'm going to go into why, and then we'll talk about the main one that's currently the blocker. So personal operating system, things that I've identified for me personally that I need more or less like focus on deep work. So I will either have meeting back to back, or I will have full empty days, and I am just not efficiently hitting the deep work. When I first started doing these videos, it was like a fun new thing, and it was really easy to get up at 5 every single day, do these for 2-3 hours and get them done. And now, like even with a full day or an empty day, I will this is 8 p.m. on a Sunday. I'm doing this, and I should not be doing that. It's just bad management. So I'm focusing on deep work and how to do that. So I basically abide by the calendar. So if I can fit it onto the calendar, it happens, and I'm not even doing that. So this is a big one. Dopamine reset. Everything from quick scrolling to freaking nicotine to what you can imagine. It is frying things that I'm doing in a short-term basis in work. And so I need like a reset of that. So I have like eliminated so much of the stuff that is just like scroll and this and that, and trying to focus on this. I'm still pretty bad at it, honestly, but I have identified this as like a core piece that is broken here. Routines, same thing there. It kind of just goes back to the calendar. I like thrive off routines. You hear a lot of people talk about like if you don't hit your routine and then it like throws off your whole day, and like I lean into that camp, and that is not good. I don't want that, but I also like when I'm in routine, but I need to be able to be adaptable outside of it. So trying to evolve back from that, but mainly I think solving for with the calendar thing. And where I'm going with this is I have hired a personal biz coach that I work with every other Monday, that is just like all about productivity, structuring out calendar, structuring out like thinking backwards from goals. And right now it just more or less feels like I'm just like in the trenches and not as much focus, like future focused. Someone, I'm going to name at least a specific on this one, Dan Martell. I think he does a fantastic job. Watch all his stuff that goes back and forth, more so lifestyle. Like I'm a big believer in basically, like I always say on this, but like listening to people who have what you want in a specific aspect of their life. So like just because someone has a cranking business that you want to emulate does not mean that they have a good personal life that you want to emulate, and you need to be able to identify that. Dan, at least from what he shows externally and from people I've heard that have worked with him, he has a kind of full encompassed setup. So I really like to kind of consume a lot of his content and look at how he lives as well as what he talks about. And then some of his like books, like he just came out with a new SaaS book that's fantastic, and you can apply it into, our world of info and coaching. But yeah, I think he's like an all around good guy that I think operates by this. Another one is, oh man, I'm blanking so hard, but the guy who had the Fantasy Factory, I'm blanking. Oh, Rob Dyrdek. So Rob Dyrdek has a really good one around this as well, and he has a whole personal operating system. So I like guys like that who talk data, systems, structure around their personal lives as well, and like fully block that out. They still have like, deep work, but they have deep personal, they have deep friends, like they go in all those buckets, and I think I do a terrible job of that. So I'm trying to focus on learning that. AI infra leverage. So what I'm trying to focus on here right now, and I'm posting all over X, like trying to get feedback and learn things through N8N and places like that, or learn about NAN through X and where everyone's pointing me on YouTube. So I'm consuming a ton of it. And then to be candid, I'm giving a ton of it off to my senior tech lead, who is going through, and as the first layer, we're going to replace and enhance all of our current automations. So we use 3 million or something like that zaps a month. We have custom databases that we store for like analytics tool of our coaching, all these things, and a ton of stuff in the sales and marketing front. So the first goal of using AI is basically just to replace replace automations and then go through and enhance them. So where can we leverage actual AI? Because that's just an automation replacement, and that's just like a cost savings. But I want to be able to do it and enhance and layer it into current systems. So we have so many things that happen in the marketing sales front that are automated but could be enhance through automation, either by literally adding things to them or cleaning pieces or lead scrub it. Like there's just so many other pieces that we haven't touched. So I want to do that first. And then I want to focus on roles. So everything from a billing admin to customer support to the coaching system, and figure out the best ways to replace, but mainly enhance, like kind of how we do now. I think there's always going to be a piece, not always, but for a long future, a place for the role. It's just going to be enhanced, which ideally, let's use a simple example, but if someone has 50 clients per coach, we can enhance how they do their role through AI, and they can take 100. Their cost can slightly go up, but the cost overall to the company would go down. So that'd be really nice. So that, and then I also am focusing on some version of a personal AI. Everything I talk about in here when I use GPT is like, I basically store just the master threads that I use. And I know that's not like the best long-term future way to do it. So having one that would be trained up on all the context, like I have certain threads, but like an all-encompassing that I could personally use, either local or, essentially local, but that is, custom to me. So I think that would be very helpful for me. So again, these are all like my current info diet. Where I'm consuming all of this is all going to be YouTube. I've not bought a course. I have a coach for this, which is paid. So speed run a bit there. I buy books on these all the time. This is all free right now. I haven't bought anything, which is actually interesting, but I pay for a lot of softwares, and then Senior Tech Leads in there, and I play around, but I haven't fully bought or done anything. All this is free info. Funnel and conversion scaling. I was going to tweet about this, or X, or whatever you call it now, about this, but essentially I'm just consistently looking for different funnel types. So go to that conference, open my mind a lot on webinars, web classes, challenges. CMO talks about all these different things, and I like to stay focused. I mean, we did one VSL opt-in funnel that was 70 million. Like it doesn't need to be crazy, but also there's just different ways for the messaging and framing based on the economics that can change based on like the different funnel types. You can do a ton of volume that liquidates, with a lower ascension rate, for example, as long as the math or the economics work. You can do more of the straight line, what we do. You can go DTA and go straight to it, which is way cheaper. So we're testing these things right now, but I'm just like learning about all of them, and I'm doing it inside Nothing Held Back Facebook group is a big one that I do. I don't really have any podcasts that talk about this because I like to watch them or read them more than I do listen to them. But yeah, I think that kind of sums that piece up. The direct response is really a future piece of this, where especially if we have a lot of low ticket, it's going to be very direct response heavy. Marketing team is building out, and we'll get to that down here with like team and org design. Sales team ops. This is, if I was to say there's one thing right now, this is the one. And we are basically, I don't want to say solved for it, but we definitely started the process. We have had marketing issues for a long time, get the CMO in and solve for that. So even up there, like they are coming up with the ideas. I just like to be privy to what is happening, or like have a finger on the pulse in the market, so I can understand and maybe give either opinion or random options, or look at what they're doing in like a different light. So that's the goal there. But with the sales team ops, we just brought a new CSO in, and he started 3 days ago, so it hasn't even touched it yet. But I think it's going to be a huge shift, which is then going to be more purchases on colder and more volume, which is just going to feed back to marketing, and like it's going to change the entire machine. So that's kind of like betting on an unknown, but I have pretty strong conviction in that, just based on our stats and based on multiple people we interviewed all saying the same things, like in a vacuum. So basically, yeah, how to structure that team for scale. The compensation framework's a big one. Like our current setup is very, very wrong. So I've heard just like different, just not incentivizing the right things, not tying to numbers in the correct way, not having thresholds on the right things. And yeah, so I'm excited to change that up. Renewal framework, it's a sales function. We haven't launched that back end. We're going to, I believe it's actually tomorrow. And that's going to be a sales function, but live within a CS and fulfillment team. So trying to figure that out and understand how that works. And I think I'd go into it down here, but I just bought like 8 books talking about gamification and community management, like trying to incentivize people to stay in a community as like a life or style thing, not just for like these upfront activation points to get XYZ result, like really build community that's extremely sticky. Because I think that's going to be a big piece for enterprise value in the future. So talking about how to basically do the renewal piece and in the sales process, but then also get them to be sticky, which is kind of more of this like team and back end. I think it's actually, I talk about it in here, but supporting leaders, how to support the team in here to like not overstep. I think we maybe did that a little too much in the past, and I don't want to do that in the future. One, because it's not scalable, and I don't think I'm the best by any means in sales world. And there are people much better. So just making sure they have the tools and the data they need, and that comes down to this tracking and dashboards. I've done this myself forever, and I think it'll be very important in the future to have somebody and just basically understanding a broader picture of this. So I'm looking at like gamified dashboards for consumers. I'm looking on the B2B side. I'm looking at it in sales world, and I'm actually trying to plug these into all parts of the company in a way that incentivizes the right behavior and shows the right metrics. So this is big, and I want to hire for this actually. So I'm trying to learn it more so I can like hire the right people, because I want to understand how the data works behind it. Back-end economics and cash flow, I talk about this all the time now, but liquidation timelines, cash collection, financing, so external third-party financing could be a big lift that I think I get to make an announcement or like something to the sales team this week. We are finalizing a new one. The cash collection periods, like all of this basically talking about the risk and finance portion of the company has always been just like, I don't say not paid attention to, but just like we've just been pushed so much cash. It didn't really like matter to us. It wasn't a big focus. It didn't matter if we had an 82% cash collection, an 85 or 90, say like for us at the time, we were just ramming volume. We were focused on the front end, which was stupid at the time. And I don't want to get caught holding the bag on the way up next time. So this margin drift is huge. I'm trying to lock everything in now where we're at with, a little bit sub 2 million a month, and make sure that now when we scale back up and go 30, 50, 100, that I have it locked. So I have like automated reporting that comes in. I have source of truth for the data of the marketing, sales, and finance part tied together, because that was a big piece. Some payment orchestration platform stuff. I was tweeting about this today, or Xing, I don't know what the fuck you're supposed to say, but payment orchestration platforms, because we have a lot of risks sitting in Stripe. We have very, very low chargeback, like 0.3, something like that. But I just have heard that storing the tokens and the subscriptions is going to be better somewhere else. So I've been trying to like research and do all these. And again, when I say like my info diet, it's like I have podcasts about this shit. I have YouTube videos. I will sit here for 8 hours and just like watch YouTube videos about how people build N8N things and build them on the side. I will watch Cole Gordon videos talking about sales ops. I will watch everybody you've ever heard of talk about funnels and conversion. Jeremy Haynes, Alan Sultanic, AI stuff. I don't even know their names. I just watched like every N8N thing you guys tag me in. Back end economics and cash flow. A lot of time it's Hormozy for like the info side. And then these are like OG people who like buy businesses and like, not private equity is the wrong word, but like the online boring business people talk about a lot of these, and a lot of people don't in our world. So yeah, I'm like trying to find pockets of this from, I don't want to say other industries, but like other pockets of the industry, and try and learn from that. So hopefully that makes sense. And then gross profit breakdowns. We've never had different offers that we really had to think about this. So I'm trying to understand the volume requirements for the different ones to hit like ideal gross profit breakdowns, things like group coaching, the info, like one-to-one coaching is pretty locked in, but you just have to do X amount of volume in order to, all that stuff. What's our, consistent overhead now that we have these certain team members that are variable, but not tied to overall revenue, but have like different KPIs. So like try and build comp models. And there are people out there that can just do this, but I like to understand it a little bit before I hire for it. So that's where I'm going with that. Team and org design, role organization. So that doesn't make sense, but basically I mean just like the different roles and in structuring actual, making sure there's less overlap so we can clean up roles and make sure that we have, everyone on the boat is needed and in the right positions. So that's basically what that means. I'm doing new meeting cadence. So I've been doing like EOS style books and stuff like that. And I do these like leading up to basically, and then department level IDS and department level budgeting, those start this week. So I moved and changed the meeting structure. So now we're going to have a fulfillment ops. We're going to have a tech ops. We're going to have a marketing ops and a sales ops that I will be leading with the department heads of each, instead of we have our master one that's like all the team in one operating group, and it's basically what's going on in every department back and forth. This is going to be one dedicated to them with essentially their own project list that exists. So that'll be super nice. And then I'm getting budgets built out with like expense sheets that they're tied to and that they are responsible for. I pulled the tech one, for example. That's how this entire N8N conversation began, because I saw our ZAP bill and I hadn't seen it in I don't know how long, because I don't have my eyes on it, and because I don't have other people having their eyes on it, which is the bigger issue that this will solve. So being, compensating with, oh, you save us 10 grand a month on whatever, and, I'll give you 2 or whatever the number is. But just having them own their own budgets, doing the same thing with marketing, trying to keep it under X percentage of net new revenue, or net new cash, how we do it. So, if we're doing $1 million a month in net new cash, how big should the marketing team be, like the total fee, and what percent, like what dollar is that? So, knowing that we might be fat going into it, but then that it can't rise over X% in the future, and then having them manage that and manage their team, and then building to replace myself out in this entirety. So I'm trying to build it in a structured way, not just duct tape together from the get. So learning from a lot of people who can do that so that I can plug in an operator later when I don't want to be on meetings for 16 hours a week. Probably more than that, but just for that part. So, and then the data for each department, which is basically just comes back to this budgeting. So it's data and finance. So there's like the non-financial metrics that we track. And then there's the actual like company specific metrics like retention numbers or escalations or customer support response times or whatever. So like pulling what's important for each department. And then content flywheel and brand scaling. This is like me and the business. So I look at this for my stuff. And then I also look at this for the business. Once I started doing it a little bit more for myself, I realized how kind of, I don't want to say like dropping the ball, but missing we were on how much content output we have in the business. So yeah, putting an organic engine together for the business, schedule and reach for personal, basically being able to do stuff into the future and in different pockets. Right now I focus on very specific and I kind of like that, but I'll see. I've been doing research on other people and talking to other people who like to own keyword phrases. So I watch things like Mark Scales brands, Mark runs brand, like whatever Mark runs ads. He's hilarious. I watch all of his stuff and talk to him. I watch Layla for this stuff a lot of the time. She has a lot of good stuff here. And then again, back to like EOS and like proper org chart, team building style stuff, a lot on YouTube. And then I have a ton of books that are actually on that I'm actually not reading right now, but I read right before I did the last rollout. And this is going to be important to me as I start to like actually operate these, because I don't like to show up and look like an idiot if they're not good. These I already talked about. Clipping, personal and business. I see all the stuff around clipping. I just don't want the wrong audience. So I have tons of people in DMs talking about how to do it for me. And then I'm also trying to consider if we can do it for the business, but it would probably be for something low ticket, because the other issue is if we have a mass volume increase, whether that's affiliate, whether that's clips, whether that's whatever, and they have the wrong quality of audience and it's also too much, it'll break the back end because everything requires a phone call. So trying to like navigate lightly on this so we're not like hitting the wrong countries, hitting the wrong target demo. And that's both for me personally. I don't want 10,000 followers on something if they're just like not the right person. I would rather organically do it with like high quality. So I do think this is extremely interesting. I just don't know how we'd use it in ours. And then that also leads from cold from organic. I bought the 8FL thing from Iman. I buy fucking everything. And he talks a lot about this and how a majority of their stuff has come from that. And we just have so much content that we haven't optimized for. We made, like, there was a video on the business page that did like 38 times the normal views, got all the stuff, got over 1,000 followers, is like responsible for, a bunch of new inflow of apps, bookings, all that stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, we do however many videos a week for however many years. And like, that's the first one like that stands out that did that. And it just shouldn't be like that. So that, and then this low ticket community, as we start to do more volume, like it goes from like top of funnel organic to the next layer, which is like a paid version of it, or actually a free community, and then a paid community potentially, or just straight to high ticket. So we're trying to navigate how to do that. And then the community portion I talked about up here is going to be part of this back end economics that we're actually going to map out. I didn't even put it up here, did I? I didn't. But talking about that back-end program and keeping it super sticky, I think that is going to be huge. And that is also going to be more brand scaling, because there's going to be brand elements, ambassadors, stuff like that. So this is like where my focus is. I don't know if this is directly info diet. Maybe we'll do a better one. I see people do those charts where it's like, I consume, Hormozy this, I do, if I have my YouTube thing open here, but if I look, it's like I have lead gen guys, I have founder startup guys who don't take VC money, Iman, Nick Bear, Jeremy Haynes, who else we got? Diary of a CEO. I watch SEO guys. I watch health guys, like fitness style. Actually, I don't really watch those, but I follow them still. Yeah, Mark Builds Brands is hilarious. Live Limiting Beliefs. Paid media, left and right, all of those. So whatever. I'm just plugged into a lot of same things you guys are. I just kind of intently watch certain ones that I focus on and then pay for their stuff if I can find it. So hopefully this gives an insight as to what I'm focusing on currently. Business, same-ish spot. It's 1 point, whatever, high ones. So haven't broke 2 yet, but sales manager just started. I think that in itself is going to take it to 3 again, and then 3, 5-ish. And then we have some stuff cooking that will take it from 5 to 8. And yeah, that's where the current setup is. So getting ahead of this so that when it does become time to need these, I hopefully will be privy enough to either be able to hire for it or solve it myself. when I need to. So proactive versus last time I was reactive / never even did it, and we didn't hold the margin. So that's what I got. And that's the update. Daily doc here. I have tech, marketing, sales, ops, all the things sorted into this doc of every video. This is the 60th one in a row, I believe. I need to probably make a new series style that is going to be like specific, like A to Z building one of these or something like that. So drop some comments with some ideas, because I don't want these to get dry and me just go through, but this is it. This is what we do every day. Same shit over and over. So appreciate you guys. Talk on X or IG or whatever. Talk soon.